Hey there, Vickie here. Thanks for joining us. A note before we begin. The content shared in this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional therapy, medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listeners are encouraged to use the skills and tools discussed at their own discretion and to consult with qualified healthcare providers before engaging in any practices that may conflict with current treatments or personal health conditions. Each individual is the best judge of their own body and limits, and it is trusted that listeners will choose what feels safe and appropriate for them. Welcome to Transcending Pain, podcast for those who live with chronic pain and illness to find new and better ways to reclaim life with new meaning and purpose, living with chronic pain and illness. This is our very first episode, and it was really tough to figure out where to begin. There's so many different topics that we can cover and we will cover. I had to pick one. And to me, this topic is so fundamental to living with chronic pain and illness. It's so at the foundation of everything else we do that we want to build on. Along with mindfulness, which we're not going to cover in depth today, although mindfulness will be a topic that comes in quite a bit and is threaded throughout most of the topics because it is that fundamental. But we're going to be talking about self-compassion. Self-compassion is really, really critical to opening doors for us to shift our relationship with our bodies. When we live in chronic pain and chronic illness, we are often at war with our bodies, with ourselves. There's a lot of shame, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of resistance that we carry, and that energy is really a hindrance to feeling well. So self-compassion is a skill that we have to really build. It's not something that comes naturally to most of us. In fact, our society would probably say self-compassion is frivolous, is secondary, is not important, is touchy-feely, is even bordering on like permissive and letting ourselves off the hook and self-pitying. It's none of those things. What it is empowering. What it is liberating. When we can love ourselves, then we can start to shift how we navigate our pain experience, and we can start to change how we show up in the world and what we're able to reach for. It all starts within in terms of our relationship with ourselves. So again, like I said, self-compassion is not permissiveness, is not letting ourselves off the hook. It's not self-pity. It is not weakness, and it is not selfish. It is acknowledging that we are as deserving of love and worthiness, grace, forgiveness, and compassion as anybody else. Think about it. How often are you so able to just offer forgiveness, compassion, empathy to other people, but you so rarely feel it from others and so rarely give it to yourself? Think about it. We have parts of us that are wounded, that are in need of love, and we so often dismiss and invalidate them. We shame them. We tell ourselves we're not good enough or we're failing if we're not doing the things we feel like we should be doing to earn our keep in society. That's bullshit messaging from a really broken society. It is not something that we need to be repeating to ourselves. And so here and now, when we're talking about self-compassion, we need to be acknowledging that so many messages that are so toxic have been conditioned in us that we get to start to challenge. That's our mission together, is challenging those norms and those messages and starting to get to a place where that little voice inside of us that knows better is able to stand strong and firm in that and saying, no, I defy these norms and I'm rebelling against these norms by choosing to give myself compassion, doing the very thing I've probably been told is a no-no, is bad to do. And so, in a sense, it's defiant and rebellious and empowering to be able to offer ourselves compassion. It's counterintuitive and it's counter to the norm. And it's so important because a huge piece of why we suffer is that negative self-talk. Negative self-talk burrows its way in to our being, and it is toxic to us. And so if we are to feel well, doesn't it make sense that we would want to remove some of that toxicity? Wouldn't we want to remove that negative entity of negative self-talk and replace it with something healthier, something nourishing, something revitalizing? That's what self-compassion can give us. Okay. So, in this brief episode, we're just really dipping a toe in. There are a few different strategies for self-compassion and different resources that I'll be offering. You can check out the show notes and see. Um, one foremost sort of leader with self-compassion is Dr. Kristen Neff. So you'll find her website in the show notes, selfcompassion.org. And it's got so many, she's got really great material on there. It's got articles, research that has been done primarily with teens, also with healthcare workers and self-compassion. Really cool research if you want to nerd out on that, that backs up why self-compassion is important for our health and well-being. And some really cool guided meditations on there as well for a variety of different purposes that are self-compassionate meditations. So you can check out her website. She's got a lot of really excellent stuff there to offer. But one of the things that, so Kristen Neff talks about mindful self-compassion. And what is mindful self-compassion? Well, it includes that mindful component. Like I said, we're going to be talking about mindfulness quite a bit because it's so, so fundamental to how we can access agency in our lives. But it's an awareness. So mindful self-compassion is being able to witness when we're having negative self-talk, when we're mindful that we're engaging in that sort of toxic self-criticism. And then the self-compassion element is offering ourselves the kindness that we deserve and recognizing that we are human like any other human and deserving of that love and compassion. So it's this sort of three-pronged approach to practicing self-compassion. We recognize our shared and common humanity, and that, well, if this person is deserving of compassion, then so must I be, because I'm also human. Sort of becoming unconditionally loving and compassionate with ourselves. And so practicing that is something we can do on a daily basis. There are embodied practices that can really help us nurture ourselves as well. Peter Levine, who developed somatic experiencing, is a therapeutic modality of embodied healing from trauma and helping with chronic pain, sort of emotions stored in the body. He has a couple different approaches to soothing self-touch combined with self-compassion. I like to combine them with self-compassionate self-talk that can really help us feel nurtured and cared for. And we're going to approach one of these strategies or one of these skills here right now. We're going to do an embrace, a self-embrace. And be forewarned, this may feel really bad at first. And that's normal. And that's okay because, again, it is so unfamiliar to most of us. The idea here is, though, that we would practice, that we would at least attempt to extend that compassion and love and warmth to ourselves here and now. Take a risk, do something new, as uncomfortable as it may be, give it a try. And the more you attempt it and the more you come back to it, the easier it gets. We start to soften to ourselves. But it's okay if it's not comfortable yet. It's okay if it feels icky, if it feels gross, if your system rejects it. That's okay. That's part of the healing. If that wasn't happening, well, we probably wouldn't be right here, right now, trying to learn how to do this. Okay? We all have to start somewhere. So I invite you to practice this technique here. It's a self-soothing self-touch and a self-embrace. So again, You may or may not be able to move in the ways that I'm offering. If you need to adapt or modify this, feel free to do so. The idea is that we are containing the energy that we're feeling. So I want you to imagine a feeling of a painful emotion, whether it be grief, sadness, it feels unfair, you feel lonely. Just feel inside what kind of resonates for you right now. What is an emotion that you're feeling that you're maybe needing some love and compassion around? And once you've got that feeling, that emotion in mind, you're feeling it in your body, I want you to practice embracing yourself by taking your right hand, putting it under your left underarm closest to your heart. And then you take your left hand and place it wrapped around the right shoulder. And you'll feel a sense of containment potentially starting to take effect. With this, once you've sort of wrapped yourself in this embrace and you're in touch and in tune with that painful emotion, I want you to take a few really deep breaths into your belly. Feel your lungs expanding. See if you can open some space for yourself to just be with what is right now. And just notice what's coming up. If you can feel a sense of containment occurring, showing up for and being there for yourself. And you know, many of us didn't have the role models we needed in our parents. Maybe we didn't have them around at all. Maybe they were abusive. Or maybe they just didn't know how to meet our needs. The best they gave, and as hard as they tried, they just couldn't be there for us in the ways we need. So in a way, you're attending to your inner child here. You're reparenting yourself as you embrace yourself and contain this feeling. You're showing up for yourself here. And we're saying that we see ourselves. So I see you. It's okay. It's okay to feel this way. We may not have the answers. We're not here to change how we feel. That's not the goal. We're just here to be here for ourselves and with ourselves. And if we can get in touch on that level and just validating our pain and being here with ourselves, a curious thing may occur. That even if we don't have the answer, that pain starts to shift. The painful emotion might start to quiet down when it finally feels heard, attended to in the right way. Contained and not expected to change, because asking it to change is invalidating. It's saying, you're not welcome here as you are. You need to change. You're not allowed to feel this way. And we don't want that. What we want is to say, we unconditionally love ourselves and are here for ourselves in any state. And that might feel too permissive to some of us. Some of us may have a hard time accepting ourselves in that way. I don't want to accept that grief. I don't want to accept that pain. I don't want to give in. Acceptance is another topic we'll cover in great depth. But for now, just see what it feels like to be here with what is right now, offering those kind words, loving, soothing, compassionate words to yourself. May I be at ease. May I be loving and kind to myself here. May I make space and have the strength, capacity to expand and hold that space for myself. Breathing into that, being with that. You may feel waves of emotion. You may feel, if you are able to get in touch with yourself, a release. That's okay. You might feel some tears. You might feel some tension leave your body. At least you can. If you practice this enough, you can get there to have that relief and release. So take a moment more on your own and just be here with this here and now. Just noticing what you feel. What's there? And then you may release and let yourself let go of that practice for now. And just know it's something you can come back to, and I recommend you do come back to and give it a try time and time and time again. As hard as it might be, the more you practice it, the easier it gets, the more we soften. And that's a crucial and critical component to living with chronic pain. We need to stop being at war with our bodies. We need to start moving toward them and attending to them as like they are a small child, crying out, maybe irrationally, screaming, throwing a tantrum, calling out for attention. And what do? Typically, we try to suppress it. We try to run from it. We try to rub it away, take a pill, get into some kind of distracting thing that will take us away and escape from it. We avoid it, we numb it, we do all we can to just not be there with it. We fight it, and we fight ourselves, and we hate ourselves. We need to realize our body's working so hard for us. It's not an enemy. And the more we learn to befriend our body, we see that integration taking hold. We start to see ourselves come back together. And we start to feel more whole, and we start to feel that pain dissipate a little bit. Even if just temporarily, but attending to it in the right way can offer some relief. So maybe you experienced that today. Maybe you didn't. But I'm telling you, it's possible. And it's worth a try. And like I said, if you listen to the intro to the podcast, there, some of these things may feel disagreeable to you. They may feel controversial. They may bring up some negative emotions in you, and that's okay. I'm not your therapist, but I am here to offer you things that you might want to give a try to. If you do have a therapist or somebody you're working with, you can process some of this with them, or you can journal about it. Do these things only if they feel safe to you. Your medical and other healthcare providers certainly take priority and precedent over what I'm offering. But there are simple strategies that are universal and can be applied to anyone with or without chronic pain. Self-compassion is universal. So while it feels risky or might not feel too great at first, it's an act that can be very empowering and very powerful and make a profound difference in how we exist in ourselves, in the world. And we might notice too, what extends from our self-compassion practice is that we're more compassionate and empathic with the world around us. Sometimes we're a little more heavy-handed as givers and doers, and we're kind of the rock for the people around us a lot of the time. Sort of a theme, living with chronic pain, we tend to be those sorts of people that everyone else relies on or has relied on, and we give so much of ourselves to everyone else but ourselves. Interestingly, though, sometimes we're hardened to the world at the same time. And sometimes we have a chip on our shoulder and we're resentful. And so when we can attend to our own needs first, then our inclination to give to others becomes more pure because we're not lacking anything and that resentment starts to subside. And so when we go inward first, we realize that it's not necessarily selfish at all, but it's an act of love to everyone else around us too. Because the old cliche, if you don't, if you don't fill your cup, right, you have nothing to pour into anyone else. You can't pour from an empty cup, they say. It's true. So attend to your own needs and see if that doesn't start to spark something new in your relationships too. It feels counterintuitive, and yet it's really the way we want to go. So give yourself permission. It's okay. It's okay to lean in. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's essential that you do, in fact. And it's fundamental. So we're going to come back to this practice. Like I said, I'm going to be offering you little bits. We might have interviews with people who are sort of at the forefront of self-compassionate work. I might bring others in that we can discuss this with on a deeper level, gain some new insights, new thoughts. But for now, hopefully that plants a seed and it is something you can run with. I invite you to join the Substack community, Transcending Pain Substack, where you can interact with others who have chronic pain and illness. Or if you're a mental health provider, there's also a community for you there as well to lean on your colleagues for support in best practices in supporting and serving the chronic pain and illness community as well. So I encourage you to check that out. You can leave some comments. You can leave comments here on the podcast. You can leave comments there in the Substack, interact with one another, debate in a respectful way, offer feedback to me. What did you think of this? How did this feel for you? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you see value in it or not? I invite you to share, to interact, to engage, and we'll see where we go from here. But this was our first go around, our first episode. So off to the races. I look forward to connecting with you again in a week, and we'll see what we get into then. All right. Take good care of yourselves. I'll see you soon.